a good, solid release from Rapido. There is nothing that I can point to and find fault with. A big hello to you. It is so great to see you and I hope you are well. I'm Jenny Kirk, welcoming you up here to Weir Yard. And today we're taking a look at the latest release from Rapido Trains. This is the 8-plank open wagons from the Southern Railway. And apart from the fact that these were the most numerous of the open wagons built by the Southern Railway throughout their existence, they've never been offered ready to run before. And this complements the Rapido range that has certainly been growing with Southern Railway and South Eastern and Chatham Railway prototypes that has really put on a bit of a spurt and given us a great opportunity for some variety in our freight wagon fleets. And they've very kindly sent over 2 different versions so that we can have a good close look and be able to show you guys just what you would be getting in the box. Now, I've never seen such a comprehensive tooling suite for a humble wagon before, and we've got 2 different diagrams which cover pretty much most of the Southern Railway 8-plank opens that were produced. We've got the 9-foot and the 10-foot wheelbase versions. I've never seen that done before, ready to run, having pretty much 2 different diagrams that are very similar in all but wheelbase. You tend to normally get either the 9-foot or the 10-foot with a bit of fudging going on to get different variants, but not so with Rapido. They've actually tooled up 2 different chassis. Not content with that, we've also got representations to be able to give us Morton brakes or freighter brakes, and then we've also got disc wheels or split spoke wheels. And this means that the first tranche of releases is quite a cornucopia of different versions. And it's not just a case of getting one running number for each particular version. There's actually several. You can make up a full train without having to renumber any of your wagons just out of this first release. And for anybody who really likes what they see in today's video, we do have an affiliate link to Rails of Sheffield in the description box down below this video, which is to help you to find all the different versions of these wagons. So without further ado, let's step on into the reviewing studio and take a good close look and see whether this all new tooled release from Rapido lives up to the legacy of the previous releases that have been coming out thick and fast over the past few months. Come with me in association with Trainomatic, makers of DCT decoders and accessories that are designed by enthusiasts for enthusiasts. Find the full range available to order now at tramfabrique.co.uk. Additional support comes from
This is Clark Railworks, and this is what we do. You'll know us from Ellis Clark Trains, and you'll get the same friendly expertise with us too. We've got a huge range of pre-owned model railways from all your favourite manufacturers, and maybe some you hadn't heard of before. It's the place to come for quality. We don't stock substandard models, and everything we sell is fully tested and photographed by model railway experts. No matter whether you model double O gauge, N, HO or more, we have sought after models from all around the world with new listings added every weekday. Check out what's available now at clarkrailworks.com and don't miss out on your latest logo.
Don't forget to tickle the like button, also share the video and subscribe to be the first to know about new videos as and when they go up. You can also head on over to Patreon and help to support the channel to keep making the videos that you want to see. With multiple tiers of rewards, it's never been easier to ensure that your favourite videos keep on coming. But come with me and let's take a good close look. Do these Rapido 8-plank opens live up to expectations that we had from previous releases? And is that comprehensive tooling suite going to make it through on the close scrutiny? Come with me and let's take a good close look. It feels at the moment like Rapido really are pumping out lots and lots of new wagons, and the latest to arrive are these 8-plank Southern Railway wagons, and they have a huge number of different variants available, and they've very kindly sent this pair over to the channel so that we can review them, and I'm able to show you the ins and outs of them. So first up, we've got one of the, I think this is the post 1936 Southern Railway brown liveried versions, and then we've also got one of the later BR grey versions. Now, there are a lot of different detail variants which Rapido have tooled up for in these, and I've got my little cheat sheet actually that they sent over. So basically we've got a choice of 2 different types of brake gear and wheelbase lengths, 31 different SKUs covering a variety of liveries through the Southern and British Railway eras, including those that were sent to the Isle of Wight, and that has certainly become quite a popular area of modelling, with a lot of prototypes being made available from various manufacturers. The all-new model features several alternative parts that allow Rapido to make quite a comprehensive double-O gauge model of this 8-plank wagon, with tooled parts to produce both the 9-foot and 10-foot wheelbases, Morton freighter brakes, along with disc and split-spoked wheels. And I can see from the pair of these that we've got the 9-foot and the 10-foot wheelbase. I'm quite interested to compare them. Plus we've also got disc wheels versus spoked wheels, which I can see first up through their box. Now these are standard form factor boxes in the familiar Rapido trains green and yellow livery. So on the left there we've got catalogue number 940029, and this is the 8-plank open to diagram 1400 in BR Greyers number S26782. And this particular one here, catalogue number 940013, is to the diagram 1379, and the Southern Railway brown post 1936 is number 31421. And let's open up the Southern Railway one first. Now, I'm a big fan of Southern Railway liveried stuff. We've talked a little bit about this in the past, and I think this stems from the fact that as a child collecting Hornby 00, it was almost impossible to get the Southern Railway wagons and locomotive. They did a, well, everybody says it's an N2, but I think it's modelled on something like an E4, the 062 tank locomotive. And there were a number of different wagons available, and they were like gold dust. And I think that's where my initial love and fascination with the Southern Railway models actually comes from, because it was quite a big day in second-hand shops if you actually came across a Southern Railway wagon. Now we also get a sheet here, quite a comprehensive sheet. We've got a photograph, looks to be a works photo of one of the wagons. I do like the white wall tyres on there. Now the reason that you see white walls on a lot of railway wagons, I believe, is to do with, before the days of ultrasound, one of the best ways to be able to see a crack was if the walls of the tyres were painted white, then you tended to get like a rust mark where they would crack. It would effectively split the paint, water would get in, and you'd see the rust marks over the white. So essentially it was just a visual check just to see if they had any cracks proliferating in the wheels. We got a little bit of the history on these. These were quite unusual for the Southern, choosing 8 planks, which made them stand quite apart from other railway companies. The standard body with its large lower drop door and with the smaller cupboard doors was used for several different diagrams of wagons, and the 2 that Rapido are producing is the 1379 and the 1400, both of which we have here. The 1379 was the first 8-plank design to be introduced. 7,950 were built between 1926 and 1933, actually making it the Southern Railway's most numerous wagon. So it's great to see these now appearing ready to run. These originals had a 9-foot wheelbase underframe, though in 1935 the Southern Railway increased the wheelbase to 10 feet, and the first wagons with this wheelbase were fitted with vacuum brakes, but 2 unfitted batches were built during 1936 and 37, and actually 1,400 of these vehicles built, given the diagram number 1400, reusing old wheel sets, but the chassis and bodies were new. Always really nice actually to see all the information that Rapido give you on a little bit of an insert, and I suspect it's the same insert that we get in the other wagon. Now, one of the things that does strike me with these is the paint finish on this Southern Railway brown does seem to be quite shiny, and I'm just going to find some of the other Rapido releases. So we've got this ex-Southeastern and Chatham Railway liveried example. The browns do match up, they're exactly the same, but I just find them quite shiny. It's just my personal preference, but I like my wagons to have much more of a satin to matte feel about them. So all three of these are Rapido wagons, and I'm going to compare that with, this is actually a Bachmann wagon, and this has a much more of a more matte finish. And my personal preference is towards this shade of brown. Although it has to be said, Rapido do very extensive research, and whilst my preference is for this, I have to say I do remember the Hornby 00 tin plate wagons, I suppose by necessity of being lithograph printed tin plate, were quite shiny, and it may well be that the original wagons had more of a glossy finish. But just to my eyes, this shine just makes it look a little bit inferior to that matte finish. The rest of the livery application is quite sharp. We've got the SR 12 ton 31421, and then we've got a tare weight of 619. That's 6 tons and 1900 weight. There were, of course, 20 hundredweight to the ton, so that's just under 7 tons for the empty weight. And we're just looking down in there, you can see the SR build plate. That is really nice and quite sharp. It'll be interesting to see how that reads under close magnification. The inside of the wagon has this colour of kind of faded out wood, and I've been actually repainting my garden fence, so I happen to know through quite close immersion with sun-faded wood that is actually quite a good close approximation to what wood looks like when it's been bleached by the sun and not really painted properly for some time. So before anybody says, oh, your hands look minging, that's why I'm covered in flecks of paint. The rest of the detail really is quite nice and sharp, as you would expect from a newly released tooled model. And you can see there we've got all of the rivet detail. I do like these moulded on chains. Those are particularly well done with all the strapping there as well. There does appear to be just a little bit of a build-up in the paint, though, along these diagonal straps. You can just see ever so slight pooling of the paint up against the detail there, and I think in some respects that's exacerbated by the quite shiny paint finish. It'd be interesting just to see what that looks like on the BR version. We've got slimline tension lock couplings fitted with the mounting point actually inboard of the wheels, which is a great location because what it means is if you want to take these out, you don't have to carve away all of this mounting point for it to be unobtrusive. The underframe detail really is quite sublime, and I always enjoy looking at this because it shows just how these wagons are put together. You can see with the drawbar gear with the springs in the centre, and it's a common misnomer. People think that these are pulled along, but actually in many respects they're pushed along, because what happens is the drawbar at one end is connected just to these push rods to the springs in the middle, which give it a little bit of give, and then onwards to the rear buffer beam, and the wagon is effectively pushed along from the rear with the tension passing through that push rod. We've got the representation of the springs as well for the buffers, although the buffers themselves are not sprung, but they are fine turned metal parts, and very crisp detail, and firmly on there. Black heads and the actual shanks there inside that slide in and out. Everything is picked out quite nicely. The shade of black is perfect. Below the body we've got the actual frame rails of the wagon, again finished in that chocolatey brown, and then W-irons and springs picked out along with the brake rigging in this black. The black to me looks perfect, We've got a lot of, feels like metal parts for that brake rigging. And I'm just going to show you this because I'm not sure whether we've got two different types of brake rigging across the two wagons that Rapido has sent. But certainly everything is where it should be. And let's just work out. It's got a clutch mechanism. So I'm guessing that must be the Morton clutch brakes. Listen to me sounding like I know what I'm talking about. But all in all, the detail there on the brake rigging really is quite nice, and the brake shoes do line up with the treads, really quite close in there. The wheels themselves on this particular example are disc with 3 holes, and I like the way that they're recessed back at the back so that we don't get a huge recess on the front. They actually do look really, really nice. Let's take a look at the BR version. Now this is the different diagram, and I'm just going to double check. I think that the paperwork that comes in that is exactly the same. It is. And let's just get this out. I do like the fact that they've got, just a little note in the packaging, we've got these foam pads actually stuck to the clamshell, as opposed to having that weird, peculiar slippery plastic which tends to come out and move around for protecting the inserts. Again, you can see we've got that perfect bleached wood effect, and the grey on this is much, much better. We've got a much more pleasing satin verging on matte finish, and I think that this actually sets off the detail much better. I really do like this grey, and certainly let's just have a look. So I've got another Rapido wagon here. They do match up. Let's just try that against a Bachmann grey. Again, actually, that's a really good match. So I think that certainly with the BR grey, we are spot on here. And what's interesting is we don't seem to have that sandbagging quite so much of the paint up against the strapping. And I think it's just because of the shininess of the brown, it shows and accentuates it somewhat more. Those chains really look good, and this livery shows them off incredibly well. Look at that detail, and we've got some pretty sharp printing on there. The 13 tons S26782, tear weight of 6 tons and 10 hundredweight. Although given that they're both pretty much the same in terms of no vacuum braking, anything like that, I am curious what would have created 900 weight of extra weight inside these. Now, just to show you the difference in wheelbase, I think the wagon itself is exactly the same length, but you can see there that the wheels are set just slightly further apart on the 10-foot wheelbase. If I line up the top axle, then that really does accentuate it, and that would have meant that these would run much better at a slightly higher speed, much more stable, less prone to hunting on the track, and of course when you don't want to shake up the internal load, that is certainly a great benefit. The entire body appears to be the same across these two different wagons, and it's just that underframe which is different, with the W irons in a different location just to move the axles slightly further out. In terms of the brake rigging, we've actually got completely different on this BR wagon. Instead of having brake blocks on one side of the wagon and nothing on the other, although we do have the handbrake lever, we've got the brakes, which is a handbrake, on both sides, and these run independent of each other. There's no bar that connects them across the middle. This was usually the case if you had bottom doors, although this wagon doesn't have that. And it does mean you could only apply the handbrake on one side from one side of the wagon. You would have had to have gone round it to apply it on the other. Although, in all honesty, not really a problem. I do like these door bangers here, which are the springs which, when the doors would be opened, stop them from banging straight down and causing damage. Just kind of a spring. And again, really sharp relief on all of that detail. And then we've got That build plate there, although all we've got is the wagon build number, there's no other details on there. We've got that white paint just on the end of the handbrake lever. Again, we've got the same buffers, not sprung, I wouldn't expect them to be, and the slimline tension locks, plus all of that great underframe detail. And certainly of these two, my favourite is very much that BR grey. I think that Rapido have got that colour absolutely perfect. The initial release schedule from Rapido offers a number of different running number options in both the pre and post 1936 Southern Railway Brown for the Diagram 1379. We also have the Diagram 1400 available in post-1936 Southern Railway Brown with a number of different running numbers available, and then we've got both the Diagram 1379 and Diagram 1400 available in a huge range of different running numbers in BR Grey, and also the slightly unusual Southern Railway Brown with BR lettering for both different diagram types. Rounding off the release schedule, we also have a single example of the Diagram 1379 as number DS719 in Motive Power Department Black to add to the departmental releases that Rapido trains have offered with their previous Southern Railway outline wagons. The RRP is £32.95, although I've found these down to around the £27.95 when discounted. When it comes to running, these wagons performed really well on Weir Yard. I had them going round and they just performed faultlessly through the curves, and even on the torture test track there was no sign of them flange riding or having any issues through the point work, and all in all really nothing to fault on the running qualities of these. So we come now to the scores. First up is build quality, and actually these have been put together really well. They're robust despite all of the detail, especially on that brake rigging and the underside, and I really like the effective use of moulded detail, which really does show up quite well on the BR version there with the chains and the strapping. It's really quite effectively done in a way that doesn't add cost to the production of the model but gets a great result. So with nothing to fault, they get a 10 out of 10. On running quality, these performed really well on Weir Yard, and certainly took in the twists and turns and the point work without any issues whatsoever. Again, nothing that I could point to and say there's a fault in that, so it gets 10 out of 10 with our deductive scoring process that we've explained in the past. When it comes to DCC fitting and innovation, well, DCC fitting doesn't really apply. And in terms of innovation, I do like the chassis detail on there, although it does seem a little bit wasted insofar as the fact that you're never really going to see that. The use of moulded on detail that doesn't look like it's moulded on really is great, and it makes it a good solid release from Rapido. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. On accuracy and quality of finish, this is one of the areas where I have to say the Southern Railway liveried version left me a little bit disappointed. That brown seems to me a little bit too shiny, and it works against the wagon in some degrees in that it shows up the way that the paint bunches along the strapping, which wasn't really evident with the much more matte finish that's on the BR Grey example. And in my mind, it's something that could be an improvement for Rapido in future releases, just using a much more satin to matte finish in the brown. In terms of accuracy, the wagon really is well researched, and I have to say there is nothing that I can point to again and find fault with. We've got a lot of different detailing available between the two different diagrams, plus a whole host of different parts including wheels, braking and such like. I do like the disc wheels. They're really nicely realised, and we don't end up with too much of a steamroller tread on the outside faces. The split spoke wheels, again, really, really well done, and they're all very, very free running on these models. All in all, I'm going to give this an 8.7 out of 10, with only that paint finish on the southern version dragging the scores down. On value for money, these are available discounted, I've found, for around £27.95, and we've got an affiliate link that takes you to Rails of Sheffield in the description box down below if you like the look of the wagons that you see in today's video. At £27.95, that's more towards the top end of what prices are like for small four-wheel wagons, and I did feel that this was a little bit on the expensive end of the scale, although you do get a good quality product for that money, especially the BR version, which didn't really have anything of note to pull the scores down for it. So I'm going to give this all in all an 8.7 out of 10, and that gives us a grand total of 45.4 out of 50, a respectable score, and certainly the fact that these open wagons were the most numerous of the open wagons built by the Southern Railway. It's amazing that we've never had a ready-to-run model before, but finally Rapido have plugged that gap, and it is certainly a welcome release to add variety to our wagon fleets. I hope you really enjoyed today's video and found it informative, and don't forget that we've got that affiliate link in the description box down below taking you to Rails of Sheffield to be able to buy the full range of these Rapido wagons at what I believe to be one of the keenest prices out there mail order on the internet. And I'd love to hear from you in the comments section just what you thought about these wagons, and it's a great opportunity to be able to share either prototype knowledge that you might have, or indeed let me know if you've already got one of these wagons, what did you think about it, or is there something that maybe you spotted in the review that you think I missed. It's a great way of sharing information with your fellow modelers. Please, please, please also like, share and subscribe, and do check us out over on Patreon to help support the channel keep making the videos that you want to see. In addition, we've got channel membership available for unique benefits, including early ad-free access to the Friday video and additional perks within the chat for the Livestream Monday Club. You can also find our full merchandise down below in our shop, and do check out our range of t-shirts, hoodies and mugs. Also, the Monday Club wagon is still available in limited numbers from the link down below from Rails of Sheffield. We're down to the last few, and certainly this is the final opportunity from the present batch to be able to get one of the original style PAL bricks. And if you want to just paint out the William Loud livery, then I believe NATO brown is the colour you need just to paint out that William Loud branding if you want to make for yourself one of the regular PAL bricks. But until next time, you take great care of yourself. Happy modelling. Bye for now. Today's video comes in association with Trainomatic, makers of DCT decoders and accessories that are designed by enthusiasts for enthusiasts. Find the full range available to order now at tramfabrique.co.uk. Additional support is provided by...
This is Clark Railworks, and this is what we do. You'll know us from Ellis Clark Trains, and you'll get the same friendly expertise with us too. We've got a huge range of pre-owned model railways from all your favourite manufacturers, and maybe some you hadn't heard of before. It's the place to come for quality. We don't stock substandard models, and everything we sell is fully tested and photographed by model railway experts. No matter whether you model double O gauge, N, HO or more, we have sought after models from all around the world with new listings added every weekday. Check out what's available now at clarkrailworks.com, and don't miss out on your latest logo.
I'd like to send out a huge thanks to everybody who supports me on Patreon, but a special thanks go out to Anthony Kidson, Offshore Allen, Michael Lockie, Helen Sink, Gary Lewis, David Quinn, Sparky 107107, George Botterini, Chris Moss, Robert Steers, Sam Yates, Dale Williams, John N from NC, NYMRish, Jonathan Foster, Peter, Clifford Ison, Larry W. Grant, NI Railways 4000 class, Ian Coulson, Alan Dickerson, Eddie Papere, Karen Nichol, Medwin Williams, Crossways Point Junction, 3B Rail, Jennifer Horton, Michael Rose, Trains with Nick, and Simon Snow. Thank you. Without you guys, I couldn't do this.